Hello everyone, welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club. Without us, they never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So again, we're based out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. I'm going to give my local gaming store that we're going to be going to up in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, home of the movie The Blob. Pardon me. It's called Gamers Haven, and it's up in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. It's a great store. They've got a computer game. It's basically it's a a gamer's cafe style. They even do serve food there. I highly recommend it. If you're up in the area, definitely say to go there for whatever your poison is. They're trying to build up their tabletop miniatures, so I'm very happy to be taking my group out of the basement into the store. It's the owner's name, I believe his name is Andrew. Awesome guy. Can't say enough about him. And he's putting together a good business model because he's growing. He's actually expanded at least twice that I've known the store. And the fact that he's now going in the tabletop gaming avenue, which means I'm going to go there and start buying my stuff from him. Okay, because again, if you're buying stuff online, which is great, yeah, you can get it cheaper, but you need the stores to play to build your communities. That's my soapbox for the day. So, for those people who know me and those who don't, is I'm actually in healthcare. But I now have a new job, which now allows me to travel to other regional areas up here in Northeast Mid-Atlantic area. So this last week, just literally, was this yesterday? Yeah, this was last night, as a matter of fact. Wednesday night, I was actually outside DC, so I was able to go meet up with Wargaming from the balcony and get a game in with them up at their local game store called Huzzah Games, where they meet on Wednesday nights. And for those of you who don't know Huzzah Games, or at least the clubs that play there with Gene and all them, I mean, you're talking. There's Phil. There's the guy Kevin. There's their names are escaping me right now, but they're such a good group of guys. I can't say enough. I mean, that's one thing that the Ninth Age has done for me, is allowed me to reach out to people who I would never have thought. I never would have met these people. And now I'm traveling down there to go get games in. I mean, I met them originally down in Carolina. I've seen his videos up on YouTube. I'll try to put a link here underneath mine to his channel, but I'm not tech savvy like that. If someone wants to turn around and reach out to me and tell me how to do it, please feel free. It's probably like, hey, stupid, you do it this way. But let me know. Anyway, so we're going out to this, and including his group has two teams that's going out. So total 8 players. I've got 4 of my players going out to this to Colonial Carnage, which is a team tournament. It's got 32 players, 6 teams, and he's playing an army that he's not very familiar with. He's not unfamiliar with it, and he's getting familiar with it. But I'd say he's definitely had a couple games under his belt at this point in time. But when I first met Gene, he's Orcs and Goblins, and then I found out later on he played KoE. I'm like, really? And then now this army that you're going to be seeing is he borrowed / stole from his son Brandon, and that's it. So let's get on to the main event. So it's going to be Highborn Elves versus the Kingdom. So if you go to the forums, it's GenePhelps up on the forums, aka Wargaming from the balcony, and versus SirMC 2015. My name is Mark, and that's it. So you've got two players been playing for quite a while, and both people know what they're doing at this point in time and have understanding of the game. With that said, we actually had an impartial turnaround, and before we started rolling as to deployment and secondary objectives, we had someone else turn around and set terrain up. So here's how the board look. looked was diagonal deployment and secure target. He chose side, so he picked the top side, where I chose the bottom. And the reason why he took where he did, originally he wanted to go where my army is, and he's like, wait a minute, you took Druidism, right? Yes, sir. What are your spells again? I've got Healing Waters, Master of Earth. I'm like, okay, Master of Earth. All right, that's fine. It's like, Gene, do you realize that it can be cast from impassable pieces of terrain, cliffs? He goes, yeah, so? Yeah, buildings count as impassable pieces of terrain. He goes, okay, scratch that. So that's why he picked where he ended up picking. Because otherwise I had access to basically his entire army with Master of Stone, and if you turn around and have Oaken Throne up, and all of a sudden it's D6, Strength 5, AP 2s, which isn't horrible, but it's not great with his army. Now, he does have a wizard in there, which does have Oaken Throne and has a whole bunch of slew of spells, so it would be able to raise up models as well, but not of the caliber that he's going up against. So it was interesting to see his side. Now, going with his deployment, he's got a unit of lances. Then he's got his dragon up on the hill, and he chose to deploy and go for first turn. He has his sword masters. He's got a brick of spears with his BSB. That's got 2 dread elves dangling from the gallows. Those things that look like GW models there, 40k-ish on trees are his 2 sky sloops. He's got a brick of archers behind them. He's got a large brick, I think 24 strong white lion or lion guard, and another unit of lancers. So me, if you look to see what I did here, is I turn around and I put my cavalry on the flank, because at this point in time, I'm not worried. If he wants to turn around and have his sky sleuths turn around and start shooting at them, go for it. I'm all the happy that you're not killing my knights, you're going after my peasants, go for it. And he's like, I'm not doing that. I mean, that's silly. But if you look at it, because I'm flanked, if he moves those lancers up, now this time my kit with them is light armor, shield, mounts protection. So they're 4 up armor versus 2 up armor. But if I get a flank or a rear, you've got to consider that you may break, run, and get run down by peasant yeomen. That would be funny if that happens. Otherwise, staring across from them, I kept my 2 buses close to one another, but far enough that if I need to turn and do some wheeling, I could, just with a little bit of maneuvering. I've got my Knights of Forlorn in the trees. I've got 1 ballista with the building. I've got the other ballista with the trees, or they're scorpions. I've got my peasants, and then I've got my one mistake I definitely made is my knight aspirants. I have to be smarter with my knight aspirants. I'm yelling at myself right now because so far in the last 2-3 games, I've allowed them to, with their own leadership, so they drop down to leadership 5, be able to turn around and get frenzy baited, because it's their speed 8 or movement 8 with an additional 7 inches, so that's 15 inch. So yeah, they're going to get into something, but it's going to be at that range something that your enemy wants you to be in. There's ways I can mitigate it, and I need to start doing that. So he ends up getting first turn. Here's how the board looks. Maybe I dropped, and then I decided to pray. I forget which way it was. So he pushed up his white lines, or I'm sorry, his line guard. He put his sluice as such, and he didn't. Now he dared me. He double dog dared me to turn around. Oh no, he did drop for first turn to put one of my buses 18 inches away, as close as I could, to his dragon. I'm like, that's what you want? Sure. I will gladly turn around and do that. He's like, all right, let's do it. And then he turned around like, where's your BSB? Right here. Where's your general? Right here. He goes, so basically you're leadership 9, leadership, and at most I'd be winning would be by 1, so you'd be leadership 8, rollable because your BSBs have been 12, and then you're going to hit me with something else. Yes, sir. We're not doing that. Okay, whatever you want, Gene. I'm easy. So he thought better of it. So, hence, he put his dragon behind his lines at this point in time. His eagle's still behind a hill, and on the upper flank, he moved his lancers up to threaten the flank of my big bus. And he moved his other lancers, he kind of kept them back because of, because he looked at the yeoman, he's like, I see what you're doing. I know what you're trying to do there. I'm not happy with it, but we'll see what happens. So, next, so here's where this is. He turns around, he's going to get a spell off, and he's going to end up moving his dragon, which is why he's reaching for those trees, or actually he's trying to put his sky sloop back up, I think. But tell you what, there's that. He got healing waters up on the one sky sloop. He moves his dragon into the forest. And that's that. Shooting or magic, I forget which, it didn't make a difference. He kills just 1 knight. And that unit has the Knights of the Last Charge, so they have impact hits. So right there, that kills 3 impact hits. Killing 1 knight kills 3 impact hits. Now, it's my turn. He baited my knights. They had to declare a charge. So at this point in time, like, fine, peasants charge. So the peasants go in, the peasants declare that charge. And I needed an 8 to make it. I made it. However, one thing he didn't really think of or take into account or was concerned with it was the peasant yeoman charging the rear of the silver lancers up at the top. And he goes, they're yeomen. They suck. I'm like, you're right, they do. But it's still a rear charge. He goes, but they suck. So here's how the board looks at the end of my movement. So I had moved up the Forlorn. I won't lie. They're there where they are because I needed the BSB to be where he was, but I really didn't like that. And the reason I didn't like it is because that building just cuts the board in half. I can't go up. It's too dividing. But it was a cool looking board, and I can't argue it. I mean, it was a fun game to play. I mean, if you ever have a chance to play against Gene, oh my God, it is one of the best games, win, lose, or draw, one of the best games you're ever going to have. He's just such a fun, easy, loose player. He knows the rules, but he's a fun player to play against. I can't say enough about the guy. During my shooting phase, this is magic. I put 2 wounds on the sky sloop, and that was it. Close combat. So I think I put 1 buff up on one of those 2 units, and he ends up killing 6 of my peasants and 3 of the knights. However, on the charge, I did, I think I did 6 wounds, 6 or 7 wounds. So like the wounds canceled off, or he was +1, or I was +1. Then the ranks and everything else. So he's now having end of the day. We ended up breaking even. He had to do a test this turn. He passed to do the BSB. Now, the one big combat that, he scoffed at was, if you look at the top of the screen here, the yeoman charging that rear. He's like, they're yeomen. I mean, I'm hitting on 2s, I'm wounding on 4s. Yeah, you can say 50%, but, I'm going to be doing some wounds to you. And then I got the horses that are going to be hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s, and again, another wound or 2. So odds are break even. You might beat me by 1, but odds are break even or you're going to lose your entire unit. I lost two of my yeomen. I broke him, ran him down, and that unit there cost 130 points versus, I guess, 230, 240, 270, whatever they were. I just looked at them like, well, they just paid for themselves. And the other unit over on the other side, he goes, yep. So all I can say is you never doubt those yeomen. I love those yeomen. So now it's turn 2. And he edges up. He doesn't want to turn around and get in there. I believe he does try to declare a long bomb charge into that unit of knights, but he had like a 11 and he rolled a 10. He got close, but again, it was such a bomb charge and there was no support. But he looked at it that there was low risk because if they fail, he's going to go ahead and throw the eagle up. I'm like, all right, go for it. And or he'll use a sky sloop or something along those lines. However, his other sky sloop, he declared a charge because he could see the knights, and it was in the flank. He's like, that's an easy make. That's a flank. I'm like, yep. You're only gonna get one guy on me, more than likely. So charge, flank. I've got 2 there. All I have to do is 2 wounds, and I have impact hits, and then the elves. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I can live with that. So I have a chance to turn around and possibly break you. If nothing else, I want to tie you up. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, go for it. And I can't say this was a bad play because, you know what? If it works, it's great. Allows him to now be in a facility and then I'll only have 1 unit of knights, not the unit of knights with the impact hits, being able to go in and probably get manhandled if I don't have magic up to help defend my army against his sword masters. Yeah, it's something I never thought he would do because I didn't think that was his style, and he did it. Great play. He moved up over there. He moved his other sky sloop to go take care of those yeomen. And this is the way the board looks at the end of his turn. Again, we still have that combat going on, and I did have that for ward save up on the knights, or regen save. During shooting, he goes ahead and kills 2 of them via the sky sloop. They turn around, they break, they run off the board. He goes, okay, points well done. During close combat, because magic was fairly uneventful, he kills 2 peasants. Kills 2 peasants and 1 knight, 2 knights. Let's see how many knights we had left. Kills 2 knights and 2 peasants. So he does 4 wounds. I ended up having to do a break test, I think, and of course I stuck. I mean, I don't recall if my general's in range, but my BSB was to both units. He's the green guy in the 4-1 on the far left, so that wasn't really an issue. Over here, he does 2 wounds. I do nothing back in return. I do a reform, and now I'm like this, up against the as close as I can to the building, and I have all 3 ranks now touching that 1 sky sloop, which is now holding me up. And I really don't want to charge in with the Knights of the Quest into them. I'd rather go after the dragon or something else. So during my turn, what do? I declare a charge on the dragon. He goes, I'll take it. You know, he's like, I got AP3s, AP4s all in there. I'm like, okay, you got it. Again, I still have that combat going on, that never-ending combat right now. So again, this started bottom of turn 1. All right, this is now going to be the bottom of turn 2. I expected to see more peasants dead. I'm disappointed in the Lion Guard because I still have peasants. Magic, and go back. So here I do have Stone Skin, and Oaken Throne up there. So basically my own Duke is now T7. Over here, close combat. He does nothing to me, and I do 4 wounds to his Sky Slope. He's like, yep, it's dead. So I do a pivot, so I can turn around and see everything. And over here, they do 5 wounds to his dragon. I choose not to overrun, because if I overrun, I'm so long, I'm so huge, that I'm going to get flanked. And the last thing I want to do is get flanked by a unit of spears with ranks. That mean I'm not steadfast. That gives him an extra bonus of a +1, which now, and then puts my mage into combat. And my Duke is not in combat, nor is my champion. So I just turn around, I just do a reform. And now it's turn 3. Here's how the board looks at the end of his movement. And one thing you can't see, unfortunately, let me show this next picture. So I did this during his move, during my remaining moves, is I chaffed up his Swordmaster unit with my mounted yeoman. Like, why not? They're peasants, they're meant to die, and if I flee, it puts you closer to my knights. They're in a position that they're going to just charge around the fleeing unit, so that's not an issue anymore. And okay, I can make that work, or I can have them hold, in which case they're still close enough, and you can't overrun into me. But it's almost an auto charge, so again, it's a win-win for me. So what he did is he just simply backed them up 2.5 inches there. What else from this pick here? He rearranged that one Sky Sloop. Now without the Mountain Yeoman over there, after he saw what happened to his other Mountain Yeoman, he's making down with his Silver Lances, and he's chaffing up my Duke's unit with an eagle. So there's that. I turn around, I get up again, Healing Waters. I have 1 wound on my Duke from battling his dragon. And I have got Healing Waters and Stone Skin and Oaken Throne up. So it's nothing wants to go in that unit. He learned the hard. Oh no, he stopped Healing Waters. I cast out something else. Close combat. My 2 remaining knights aspirants live. He kills only 3 of my peasants. I don't think I did a single wound to him. So I think I was maybe doing 2-3 wounds a turn, so I was rolling below average. And he just was rolling hot. He was making all his armor saves with that unit at this point in time. During his turn, so top of turn 4, during my shooting phase, I did manage to pluck off 1 of those knights, but that was it. Only 1. And yeah, that's it. So he's thinking about, do I charge in? Do I not charge in? What should I be doing here? And I looked at him like, you can do whatever you like. It's just, you do realize that as soon as those units disappear, the Knights of Forlorn are going to be coming around to countercharge you. So then you're going to have to either chaff them or allow them to get in. And if you're up there against the Forlorn and the peasants, and you're not able to do all that combat res against the peasants, it's going to be tough. That's all I can say is it's going to be tough. And I'll just use spears, so I'm still going to be winning you on 3s at AP2 against your Lion Guard. I'll take it. That's all I'm saying is I'll take that. And over here, I end up getting Stone Skin this time on and Healing Waters up on the peasants, because I had no reason to really do it anywhere else. And there's that. So here's my charge. So this is now my turn. So that's a bad pick. 1 sec. Let me go back to. So here you can see He moved him back 2.5 inches. I had them chaff, but the thing is I still have line of sight to him, and he's up on the hill, so I could see his unit. All I need is like an 8 or 9, or I need a 9 or 10 to turn around and make that charge. I'm like, what does he have to do to me in return? Because no matter what, I can chaff him up. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, he did rally his dragon, by the way. Declare that charge. So I declare the charge, and I make that charge. So hence they now look like that. I do a march test. My yeomen, because my knights are right there, now have an 18-inch move rather than 16-inch move. So now I'm chaffing his spears, so his spears can't go into the Knights of the Quest that are going to make mincemeat out of that that giant eagle. And yeah, he turned around and he buys like, what are you going to use? I'm like, lances. He goes, okay, it's gone. You see, it's just getting removed now. I'm like, okay, works for me. And that's it. Then after that combat there, so with the charge and the close combats, he killed one knight of the realm, and I obliterated the entire unit of Swordmasters. There wasn't a single model left. So now here we are at the top of 4. And if you notice down below during that combat, I forgot to show the results of that combat, he does finally kill those 2 knights. So he's able to go ahead and get that reform in. And as I said, I've chaffed up his unit of spears. So he charges his dragon in to the yeoman, and I'm like, okay, sure, they hold. I'm like, actually, stand shit. I rolled 3 dice and nothing happened. Gene didn't hear me. But he's like, crap. I was so hoping that they would be terrored off. I'm like, leadership 9 for the terror, the odds are not likely. It's a possibility, and I understand. And he's like, I know, I'm getting desperate at this point. I need to start changing what's happening on the board. And so he charged in his dragon, and he also charged into his spear block. His attitude was, okay, so the dragon's going to be able to get in, and I just realized one thing is his dragon should have only been touching corner to corner, and he should have had more spears involved. Oh well. Oh no, that's all you could do with that wheel. That's why it's like that. He was then saying, okay, well, maybe I can turn around. All he needs a 9. Swift Stride, just get into the knights there, so this way they don't have a charge. I'm good. Okay? I'm like, all right, if you say so. Now, on the table next to us, we have 2 other Equitane players. One of them is a gentleman who I knew playing up at Showcase Comics about 10 years ago. His name is Greg. I mentioned him earlier in one of my other videos. It's great to see him. Super, super nice guy. Fantastic artistic ability. Here's a picture of it. You see those checkers on those shields and on the gosh darn horse? He freehand painted all that. Freehand paint, not the paint markers. He used a freaking paintbrush, and I'm looking at him like, Greg, and the banner. I'm like, I looked at him like, I admire you, I envy you, and I hate you right now because, well, you see some of my models, and a lot of my models were painted almost 20 years ago with this army because it was my first army. But just look at what he did. Just look at that. Beautiful. That's all I can say is beautiful. And I love how they're different. They show the different colors. Just beautiful. So over here, it's done. He rolls for his general. I'm like, you didn't even give me a chance to just remove them from the board. We know what's going to happen. They're dead. You didn't give me that chance. Like, no, I wanted to roll. I wanted to kill something. Like, okay, if it makes you happy. So over here, the peasants are still going to stick there, even though at this point, because it was his turn, I really wanted them to break. So when it becomes my turn, from here, I want to charge in my Knights of Forlorn into the Lion Guard because now they're weak, and then I'd overrun into the Sky Sloop. But no, they stick. Boo. Here's this. I charged into his Brick of Spears since he did not make it with his overrun, and I had the ability to charge around him. So I'm like, well, I either get charged by everything, or I can at least pick my units. It's still a dragon. Yeah, I'm throwing a lot of Strength 4 AP 1s and a bunch of Strength 6. That's still a lot of attacks. It's Strength 5 AP 3 and Strength 7 AP 4. Spears never look so good, and to be charging cavalry into a Brick of Spears on purpose is stupid. But I did it, because at that point, what choice do I have? And I'm like, you know what? I got the Impact Banner. I like my odds of at least, doing something that I can do a reform, so I'm not in your charge front. Okay, we'll go with that. And crap. I didn't lose a single night. Between his dice, my dice, and it just was like, ow. I turned around, I did 10 wounds right off the bat from the impacts. And then I did another 7 from the knights themselves. It was an auto break. It just wasn't pretty. And mind you, he actually did, I think, get all his attacks from me. He was missing 1 or 2 attacks, and that was it. But it just wasn't pretty. So he breaks, he flees, I overrun. That's where I end up. And this is now his turn. So, of course, I killed that eagle and everything else. Let me go back to this pick. So, during my turn, my peasants finally decided to turn on a break. I had a horrible magic phase. I got like the 4-3 or the 5-2. And because he has that item that says, oh, yeah, here's one of my Veil tokens. So I didn't get any extra die. And it's like, there's no separation. I don't have enough die. He just stopped everything. Again, good job on him. So the Lion Guard turn around. They go into because I didn't see it coming. I just didn't. Bad play on my part. He goes right into my one bus with Knights of the Quest. He had tried to get the Sleuth into there, but it wouldn't fit with the building. And had he just charged in the Sky Sloop into them, he then couldn't, because of the base size, he couldn't make the charge with the lions. So he's like, you know what? This thing flies. And I screwed something up. You know what? That was an illegal charge. And I didn't even think about it till just now. He can't see them. Because of where that Sky Sloop was, they're the same size as the Knights. The Knights are tall, so they count as giant, which is what Sky Sloop is giant. Can't see over them for line of sight purposes. He could not declare that charge. Son of a dirty word. Oh well. Boys and girls, that's how we learn. So at this point, I'm looking at the board going, crap. Well, things were going my way, and they still aren't horrible for me, but that's going to be a huge game changer if this works for him. Because if he turns around and he breaks both of those buses, that's a lot of points. That's a 880-point unit plus a 480-point character plus a 495-point character plus another 802-point unit, or 800 something point unit. Yeah, that's a lot of points. That's wow. And yeah, so there's that charge there. There's that charge there. He charged. Finally got his lancers into the bolt thrower, as it is, and his silver lances, and that's it. Combat phase. This is where things got, and he reformed his dragon. He's like, okay, I've got things going. So Sky Sloop keeps you there. You beat it up. Next turn, you're going to be sandwiched between the dragon and the Lion Guard after I make mincemeat of your Knights of the Quest. Ooh, so yeah, Knights of the Quest. I lost 3 knights, I think, 2 or 3 knights, and I killed 2 or 3 of his in return. Plus, I had ranks and banners. I think maybe I lost by 1. Made my leadership tests, no worries. I also had the BSB, so again, no worries. And he goes, crap. Meanwhile, the Sky Sloop had turned around and bounced off the knights, did no wounds. I did 1 or 2 wounds to the sloop. It broke and got ran down, so I stopped 1 inch away from my own knights. He goes, crap. And yeah, so it's just not looking pretty. My mage technically is not in combat. Over here, he easily destroys that, and he overruns. And I'm like, why'd you overrun? And he goes, why not? He was like, well, what am I going to do? Charge him into your Knights of Forlorn the next phase. I rolled the same 4 dice, and which granted probably would have been a different result had he done it that way, but Lady Luck was fickle. So after he blows up my Scorpion for 125 points, does his 2DT test and fails 2 of them. They panic and break and run off the board. I looked and lowered my head. I'm like, I'm sorry. Not really, but I'm sorry. So now here's turn 5. And during my turn, I raised one of my guys back. During close combat, he kills him. And as you can tell, there are not as many Lion Guard as there were a while ago. They break. I reform to face the dragon. And after I had killed the sky sloop, I did a combat reform, moved my 8 or 16 or whatever. I just don't recall anymore because I had Gene moving that unit for me. And at this point, he's looking at the board. He's like, that's game. This is turn 6. I can try to make for that, but your knights are over there, and I only have 4 of my Lion Guard. You know what? I just realized that they should have been decimated at that point because they're beyond 25%, and I'm not sure if he did that or not when he goes to rally them, but because they do end up rallying. And here's this. So he charges in with his dragon, and he hopes for the terror, because even though I'm immune to the effects of fear with Knights of the Quest, they still have to roll their terror, and they're not immune to panic unless they have that banner of something. With that said, he charges in there, and that's it. He's like, all right, I'll give it my all. And during close combat, I issue a challenge to my unit champ, and he chooses the unit champ and takes it to 1 wound. I won combat. Next turn, unit champ comes back, even though, yes, I know it's a musician model. Unit champ comes back, the Forlorn goes into the Lion Guard, and he's like, well, if I flee, you get points for him, or if I stay there, you're definitely getting points for him, so we're not going to bother with that. The Knights of the Quest kill his dragon, and he didn't bother using. So all he has left is on the right hand side, closest to his camera, that unit of archers. And in the game, that's all Gene has left. So time for the results. It's pretty obvious. Victory goes to the Kingdom. It was a 20-0 victory, but kudos. Look, KoE, I think it was a hard matchup, especially. Let me go back a little further to a good wide shot. Well, this will work. No, it won't, because part of his army is blocked. Where's that overview? Okay, so I think declaring that charge with his Sword Masters early on, even though it was a bomb charge, then yeah, they have to stride and all that. I think that may have been an oops, allowing me to turn around and see his general, which only came to be because he rolled a spell. Again, in retrospect, would have been oops. Otherwise, it was a pretty good match. It was a pretty good chess game. It was just those 1-2 things that I personally would change, not even so much out of the list, but just overall just change your intended use of different units that he had. I mean, to push up with the Lion Guard there early on in the game, I think it was necessary. I think I probably would have kept them back and allowed some of that shooting to chew up some of those knights prior to then forcing me in there. And still, because he had that advantage there, and he could still turn around and do wound here, wound there, and my shooting is kind of negligible. It's advantage to him. Giving me the rear of the knights early on was definitely an error, which I don't think he'll ever do again. And that's it. So going back down to the results, let's do the MVPs. So MVPs. Overall, I still had to give for the Highborn Elves, it was the Lion Guard, because the Lion Guard chewed up most of the peasants, and they took out the knights. At the same time, I could have given it to the one Sky Sleuth that held up the one unit, and the other one trying to be just as valiant as its twin. However, end of the day, neither one worked the way that he had intended and wanted. So I couldn't do that. For the Kingdom, those Mounted Yeomen, I mean, they just chaffed again, and they turned around and took out the knights. So Mounted Yeomen right there. And again, Gene's dice. I mean, he's rolling for magic. I felt bad. He's like, okay, 3 dice. I need to get this spell off. It was Healing Waters or something like that. And he had Oaken thrown up. Rolls 3 dice. He rolls 3 ones. I just looked at him like, seriously? Because, shut up. He goes to roll another spell. Rolls 2 ones. And he looked, at one point he's like, I have rolled 9 dice and I've had 6 ones. And there was another guy who was on looking, and Statler was there too. And we were all just kind of laughing at Gene. Like I said, awesome opponent. If you ever have a chance to play against him, I would strongly recommend it. And that's it. If you have any questions, concerns, please go ahead and feel free to let me know. And until next time, happy gaming.